Hey y'all, it is Tasha. I am back. I know in the last review, I said I was not sure if I was going to do the Where Are They Now review for Married at First Sight Season 13. I watched it and I didn't take any notes, and I had to watch it again and come back with a video because some of the foolishness, I just needed to talk about it with y'all and hear y'all thoughts on it to see if it was just me thinking some of this mess was crazy. But let's get into it. So we already know from the reunions, there's only one couple still semi together, Jose and Rachel. We see Michaela's moved into a new place. Her sister come over for a visit. They catch up on how she's doing since the show is over. They really have a little awkward pause. And then the one sister, I think Sharifa was her name, that was at the reunion, asked if she wants to update the rest of the sisters on what had happened at the reunion. So my only guess is to assume that the reunion and this Where Are They Now are not too far away from each other if she hadn't even had a chance to update her other sisters on kind of where things had left off was at. So Michaela shares that she thinks her father sent Zach to her to show her that she deserves better and to knock down the wall she has up because says she's built up so much since his past. And I was like, okay, if that's the route we gonna go down. Okay, girl. She does seem committed to changing and growth though throughout this entire episode. I really feel like she is on the right path to growth and change, and I really do hope she stays the course on here. She shares that she's picked up a new hobby of shadow boxing, and one of her sisters says that she will go with her later on in the episode. We then see Gil at the fire department. Brent actually comes there to meet up with them and shares that really her and Gil have kind of started a quick instant friendship. Gil said that he was given the opportunity to go to paramedic school and get paid for it. So that's why he now has the beard, because he's able to now grow the beard in paramedic school. Brett shares that she's going to go dog shopping with Mirla, and Gil definitely feels some kind of way because, of course, Mirla made a really big deal about the whole dog, although in the end she ended up coming around to hype. But Gil is still like, I don't want to care, but I kind of care, but I'm kind of done with her also and really don't give two shits. So I was like, all right, that's where we are, Gil. He says he is still as surprised when he tell people what happened. He's still surprised himself as he's trying to tell this story, but they currently have no communication and he's still in therapy, and he said he's nowhere close to being back to normal. And I'm like, geesh, this girl did a number on Gil, didn't she? We then see Bao, Zach, and Ryan playing pool as they share that they've gotten closer since decision day. They talk about the reunion, and Zach asks, how they felt about the whole situation for him and Michaela. Zach, we don't care. These are your friends. Of course, they're going to be on your side, and feel like she was completely crazy in her situation. He says that after the reunion, he's had no communication with Michaela, and I'm like, I'm sure the feeling is mutual for Michaela too as well, Zach. She really don't care to have any interactions with you either. Ryan leaves, and then after he leaves, Zach then tells us that, he's really starting to feel Bao. He really likes her giddiness and how she is always herself. And I'm like, that is definitely a side eye to Johnny, because those were the things that, he had something to say about with Bao. So then he finally works up the nerve to ask Bao on a date, and she really does seem shocked and kind of taken aback by the whole situation of him really asking her out. He said he wasn't sure that, I wasn't sure actually that she would say yes. Zach said he wasn't sure that she would be as excited as he was as well, but she agrees to go, and Zach says he is eager to see what comes from it. So we'll see, what happens, but I really don't think Zach is really all that better than Johnny. But then again, I do also recognize that Zach just gets on my nerves. So I may just be a little bit biased, but I don't see how he is so much better than Johnny for Bao to be like, oh my God, this is great. But live your best life, girl. Ryan and Jose then meet up to catch up, and Jose asks about Ryan's dating life. Ryan says that it's looking promising as he has a friend that he's known for a couple of years that's coming into town, and they plan on going on a date. She actually lives in Dallas, and he was in Dallas a couple weeks ago. They went out when he was there, so now she's coming here, and they're going to actually go out. He says he needs someone who is level-headed with him, confident in her own skin, knows who she is. And I'm like, so none of those qualities fit Brett at the time? Ryan, you just didn't like her. Cut it out. But then I also forget that he always wanted us to make it seem like she was unstable and erratic and just all over the place. So whatever, makes sense. Anyway, he says he hates that he has to start over, but also, you know, is glad that he's kind of getting a second chance doing this again. Jose says that he and Rachel are still trucking along, but they aren't living together. He said he didn't realize he really wanted to fight for his marriage until all of her stuff was gone. And I was like, so it was her stuff leaving that made it feel like your house was empty again, and that you really wanted her to be back in the house with you, not the fact that she wasn't in the house with you. He says he didn't realize, well, he already said that. He says friends are important to her, and he really needs to win them over in hopes of smoothing things over. And I'm just like, wow, this is a totally unique situation, because what they went through was, you know, televised on TV, so they were going to see it. But it's the prime example of why you don't let your friends and family up in your business until you are sure where your head is and that you are ready to get up and out of that relationship and leave, because you may get over it. But trust and believe, your family and friends, they gonna remember all the stuff that you done told them about your spouse. And it is not as easy for them to get over that stuff as it is for you. And it just makes it that much harder for the relationship to be better, for the friends and also for the couple that's in the relationship. Because the friends, trust, when the spouse ain't around, the friends always gonna have something negative to say about your spouse. That's a no-no. If y'all stay together, I hope you have learned this lesson to keep your friends and family out your business unless you're ready to leave. We then see Mirla at home with her friends, and she's actually invited little Rachel and Johnny over as well for a little pool party. Rachel comes over and asks about, you know, Gil, and Mirla says basically they haven't talked, but she does share that she's getting a dog. She says she wants someone to just, you know, love and take care of, and that's led her to now want a puppy. And I'm just like, okay, girl. Okay. Johnny shows up later. He has to spray Mirla down with sunblock. And I'm just like, what is really going on here? They do share that apparently Johnny's family thinks that they are dating, and Mirla friends think that they are dating as well. And I'm giving both of them the side eye, like something here is going on, a situationship, a relationship, a friends with benefits. Something is going on between Mirla and Johnny. And I just need them to be, you know, forward with it, because it's looking real sketchy up and around here, okay? Rachel says that they're planning on a getaway, and Johnny isn't sure if he wants to go. And Mirla's like, well, if Johnny doesn't go, I'm not sure if I want to go, because, you know, I want to be there with my besties. Johnny says he wants to go to hang out with, you know, everybody else, but, you know, Bao being at the getaway really creates unnecessary tension. He's thinking about the arguing that may happen with her, and it just makes him sick, and she just sucks the fun out of everything. And I'm like, Johnny, Bao ain't checking for you, and neither are the rest of us. So stop thinking you are so important that, you know, if you come here, your life is just going to be ruined and the rest of us are just going to have a downtime. Because, baby, we really don't care. Come if you want to come. Don't come if you don't want to come. But you're not going to ruin a good time that's going to be had with all these people, okay? Next, we see Zach is on the phone with one of his brothers who recently got married. And the more I see Zach, y'all, the more cringy he is to me. Like, on wedding day, he was so cute. And I was like, okay, now married at first sight. This is what we talking about. But now when I look at him, it is so cringy. Like, he gives me that white black boy situation thing that, you know, why he got black friends. He hang out with mostly white friends, and he starts to act like his white friends as though he's a black boy. He gives me those type of vibes. Not that anything's wrong with it, but that's what he gives me when I look at him now. And I'm just like, ew. Anyway, he tells his brother that he's feeling Bao. He asks her on a date. His brother asks, like, listen, was you on some shady shit, and was you plotting this the whole time? And I'm like, yes, brother, that's what the rest of us want to know as well. Zach says no, and he says that, you know, he and Bao have more in common than he and Michaela, and that's kind of the end of it. But yet he also has to tag on. It has nothing to do with maturity, who looks better, who has a better career, and who's more emotionally stable. It has nothing to do with none of that. Well, why bring it up, Zach, if it has nothing to do with any of what you just said? He says he doesn't know how Michaela will feel, but it's the right time because now it's been months. He says that Johnny told the husband months ago, if y'all want to do y'all thing with Bao, I don't even care. So he's like, Johnny ain't gonna feel one way or another about this. And I'm like, if he say so. All right. Jose is meeting up with two of Rachel's friends trying to really smooth things over. So her one friend jumps right in and says she doesn't think, Jose is a bad person, but in hearing about the big blow up, she was really shocked. She says she isn't here to make him feel like shit. And I'm like, well, I would be. I'll make you feel horrible, okay? But he says that, it's been a great growing process. And although he didn't handle it correctly and didn't apologize in a quick manner, they are really growing through it. The friend asks if they should expect this again from him. And Jose says, they had to go through that to learn that they need to be better at communicating. And I'm like, yes, y'all will see it again. So have your phones ready for when Rachel calls you and says she's locked out of the house once again by Jose. Okay. Jose says he just wants to take care of Rachel, and in doing what he thought was the right way to take care of her, he didn't realize it comes off as controlling. Her friend says, don't try to excuse your behavior. You had this box and you really tried to just fit her in this box that you had. And I'm like, yes, still give it to him free because he needs to hear it. Her friend says she wanted him to take more accountability, and he has talked to talk, but she gonna see if he actually walks the walk. And honestly, thus he's talking to these two girls. They don't really look like they buying his BS. I'm not buying his BS, but whatever he and Rachel want to continue to do to fake the funk, by all means, go ahead. Mirla and Brent then go to a little pet store, and they see all these cute little puppies, and I'm like, OMG, I want this one, this one, and this one. And then I realize that they actually grow up, and then they start growling at you while you're trying to record videos like my almost 16-year-old dog is doing at me right now. So no thanks. Cute, but no thanks, okay? Brent says she isn't ready for a puppy right now. She's, been busy with work and still really grieving over Baxter. Mirla brings up the getaway, and Brett is like, nope, I don't really see no point in spending time with Ryan. And I'm like, yes, Brett, me either. Mirla says, now that she's traveling a lot less for work and she's able to work from home, that, it's time for her to get a dog. And she walks out with just the cutest little adorable little puppy in the shop. Gil then meets outside with his therapist. They talk about how things are going for him now. He talks about going through the divorce because, it was unexpected. And the therapist shares that, the hardest part of getting over a breakup is the new narrative or story that will come from it. She sees that he is still wearing his wedding ring, and she asks what it symbolizes for him. And he says it represents that he is willing to fight. And I'm just like, well, Gil, honey, the fight is over. And the therapist is like, put the weapons down. We have no more fight here. Okay. Time to take the ring off, buddy, and let's move on. So he finally decides to take it off. And honestly, while I still feel for Gil, I think this is a lot of dramatics because I'm like, y'all didn't have this long history that, you were dating, you were engaged, you got the ring, and now the ring just means so much. Y'all were literally married for 2 months and 2 weeks. I know y'all were feeling each other, but I don't see where it is so much emotion tied to that, Gil, where you can't take that ring off and let it go. I know y'all are not officially divorced, but y'all ain't getting back together. So let it go. Michaela then does shadow boxing with her sister and says it has helped with her temperament because it really teaches her to focus and to understand how she is feeling before she reacts and to balance out her energy. She thinks her reactions were to protect herself, and she realizes she doesn't have to be so instantaneous in her reactions. She still isn't sure if she wants to go to the getaway, but she really realizes that she needs to make choices that are happy and healthy for herself. And I'm just like, well, you say that answers the question for you because we know that's going to be a toxic environment for you. So, girl, don't go. But I'm really liking this change that I'm seeing in Michaela throughout this Where Are They Now episode. I really wish this was the person that we got to see for most of the season. Not that maybe her and Zach would have worked, but it definitely would have shown her better on TV if she would have shown this side of her. But again, you live and you learn. So maybe she had to go through this and see herself on TV to really come through where she is now. So I'm hopeful for her that she'll do better and be great in her relationships going forward. We then see Ryan go on his date with his friend Maggie. And I'm like, child, you like Maggie, but you didn't like Brett? Okay. Ryan looks as awkward during this date as he did all season, and it's awkward for us to watch it as well. Could have really gone my entire life without seeing him on this date. He talks about being, this being the first date since the marriage, and it feels weird not wearing his wedding ring. And the girl is like, well, it feels weird being on a date with a married man, so there's that. Ryan says going forward, he wants somebody that, is into the same things he is, outdoors, traveling, blah, blah, blah. He asks her about her dating background. And honestly, Maggie don't look like she feeling Ryan either. I don't know if she nervous about the cameras or she don't like him and she just wanted to get her TV time. But either way, this date was awkward as hell, okay? But throughout it all, Ryan is smiling from ear to ear, and he says he is really attracted to Maggie, and physically she is his type. And if y'all watched the show, y'all saw Maggie, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna be team Brett all the way. But Ryan, if that's your type. Bao was getting ready for her date with Zach, and she looks amazing. Again, like I said last episode, red is Bao's color. Her friend is helping her get ready and asks if the two of them dating would be upsetting to Johnny or Michaela. She does not care what Johnny feels, and honestly, I don't blame Bao one bit for that. She says she thinks Zach is genuine and is basically not dating just to date, and she still wants to be married. She says what sets Zach apart from Johnny is that the way he thinks, and that he makes her comfortable to be herself. She feels hopeful on moving forward, and I'm like, okay, Bao, again, if you say so, because I don't see it for you and Zach, but that ain't my business. On the other side of town, we see Johnny is having a glass of wine via Zoom with the infamous Sarah child. Of course, after the season, she and Bao fell completely out, so their 20-year friendship is completely, I guess, over at this point, and I expected that to happen. Johnny says he went to Sarah because, she would not lie. She would give him the facts about Bao. And Sarah says she thinks Bao's like a cat and only wants to come to you when she wants to come to you. And Johnny, you and I are like dogs. And I'm like, that might have been the best analogy we've heard all season. Literally and figuratively, y'all may be dogs. I don't know. Johnny says he did speak to the therapist, and what he thought was good communication actually wasn't. He said at the reunion, Bao was bringing up the same things they went through the marriage. So it's like she hasn't moved on, and he really wants her to go to therapy as well. And I'm like, Johnny, the point of the reunion is to talk about the ish that happened throughout the season. So of course, she's going to come here and talk about the season. She's being asked these questions, and that's what we are here to talk about, sir. I hate when somebody go to therapy 1 or 2 times, all of a sudden they think everybody around them need therapy. Child, while most people do need therapy, Johnny, pipe down and enjoy the therapy that you are going to and get better for yourself, and don't worry about what Bao doing on the other side of town. Okay. But he says he's recognized a lot of things he needs to work on before being a good partner. He tells her the reunion brought him back to a negative place, which makes him nervous about going to the getaway. And again, Johnny, you are not that important to the rest of us, sir. Go if you're going to go. Don't go if you don't want to go. But all this back and forth, we don't care. We then see Zach and Bao on their first date, and she feels like she's just being swept off her feet, and it's just been a long time, honey. Zach asks if it's weird being on a date with him, and she says, well, a little. We've kind of been hanging out a lot, but we haven't really gotten dressed up for each other. You kind of just see me in my yoga pants, and Zach is like, yeah, and I like you in your yoga pants. Child, y'all gonna stop. Y'all gonna stop gassing up Bao thinking she got body, yaddy, 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 yaddy. Because while she got a little petite frame, Bao does not have body, yaddy, 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 yaddy. Okay? He asks what's her biggest reservation with him, and she wants to talk more about intentions and says nothing has changed about her wanting to be married and having a family. And Zach says, I feel the same way. Nothing has changed. And I'm like, pump the brakes. How can you say that when you just said at the reunion that you're not sure about marriage anymore, but you know for sure you want to have kids, but now you telling Bao that things haven't changed for you in regards to still wanting to be married? Zach, here you go with the lies again. He says he thinks them going out is right, and he wouldn't just do it. And this makes Bao feel good. And she says, it feels like I'm really a priority for him. And I'm like, Bao, if you want to go ahead and coddle another man child like you did with Johnny, feel free, girl, but I ain't here for it. Zach tells her she's beautiful and that, says she is just loving all the compliments. Zach says he is an honest person. So, he's just going to tell her like it is. And I'm just like, you honest? That's what we going to go with, Zach? Okay, but anyway, he is laying it on pretty thick, and Bao, being at the vulnerable state that she is at right now, she is eating it all up, honey. And I hope she comes to her senses sooner rather than later. Next, we see Jose and Rachel. They go out bowling for a little date night, and y'all, forgive me, but I fast forwarded through it. I cannot take any more of Jose and Rachel. So if something important happened during the little bowling conversation, drop it down in the comments because I couldn't do it. Anyway, we see next up, Jose, Rachel, and Mirla. They and Mirla's new puppy show up at the little cabin lake situation where they're having this getaway. Johnny then surprises Mirla and comes to the getaway. And child, they embrace like they are lovers and friends. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. Next, they go down to the lake, and Jose and Rachel are getting on paddle boards. Mirla and Johnny are just hanging out. Next, we see Ryan, the dog, Bao, and Zach show up, and Johnny is pissed immediately on sight that Bao actually showed up. Again, Johnny, nobody checking for you, okay? Bao says, I don't want to see him, let alone interact with him. And he does tell her hi as everyone is coming up and greeting, and Bao basically leaves him on red if he was a text message. She says nothing to him, and child, I die laughing because we know this pisses Johnny off, and Johnny's like, of course, Bao can't be a grown-up, and she can't speak, and I'm just like, I don't really care for either one of y'all, so this is hilarious to me that y'all are still going through this, and y'all ain't even together no more. Why do we care? They all hang out outside, swimming, paddleboarding, fishing, blah, blah, blah. Ryan says he spoke to Johnny that morning and he didn't say he was coming, so they were all surprised he was there. Ryan talks about his date and says, there is potential and that he's super attracted to her, but I really don't know much else about her, so that's why we're going on dates. And I'm like, well, Ryan, didn't you say that y'all were friends for a couple years and then now y'all are dating, so you didn't know nothing about her being her friend for a couple years? What is really going on here? Anyway, he says if he's learned anything from this process is that it takes more than just looks. And I'm like, oh, really, Ryan? You learned that after the process. But yet your main thing about this Maggie girl is that you're just so attracted to her. But yet you move beyond looks. Got it. All right. Zach said he doesn't plan to share that he and Bao are dating. And I'm like, Zach, we don't care. Just like we don't care that Johnny is mad. Gil and Michaela then meet up at the park in Houston while they're not at the getaway because they both decided not to go because Gil says, I don't see the point. Michaela says she decided not to go because she don't want to be around Zach. And I think that was the best decision for both of them because that was going to be a toxic environment for her to be around Zach and for Gil to be around Mirla. She says she is looking forward to this new life with her new self. Gil talks about his therapy sessions and just taking his wedding ring off. He says he doesn't know what the future holds, basically outside of his career. He just knows he needs to completely heal first, and then he can be a better person moving into his next relationship. So meanwhile, over at the getaway, Zach and Bao snuck away and talk about her interacting with Johnny. Zach says that he thinks now he and Bao are becoming more than just friends, and she feels promising. Okay. She asks if they're exclusive, and Zach says, after a few dates, basically I don't really date a whole bunch of people, and after a few dates, I really just kind of only date that person. But, that's just me. I'm not asking you to do that, but that's just how, I maneuver and operate. So Bao then says, well, if we're dating, I don't really want to entertain any other options either. And I'm like, so y'all just gonna put all y'all eggs in this basket right here? All right, but she says she hopes it leads to something serious, and I don't. Bao says maybe they should have gotten married at first sight, and Zach says no, that she would have walked down the aisle. He would have turned around to tell everybody, have a good day. So I'm just like, and she laughs. So I was totally confused as to what does this mean? Does this mean he just would have left her at the altar? Like he wouldn't have been into her just by looking at, I don't know what that meant. I didn't know how to take that. So if y'all understood, let me know in the comments. And now we see, because Johnny cannot be a big boy and be around Bao, he schedules an Uber and he leaves. Rachel and Jose talk, and she says, that he's done a lot of hard work and, made it a point that, he didn't like the separation. It's really doing more harm than good. So she thinks it's the right time to move back in. And I'm like, Rachel, do you hear yourself? And again, I don't believe this was recorded that far away from the reunion. So at the reunion, y'all needed to not be together right now and some additional time off. Dr. Pepper said, he needed counseling and things. But now, within a matter of maybe, I'm assuming, weeks, y'all have decided that this is the right thing for y'all to do, is to go ahead and move back with each other already. Okay. I don't ever want to see them on my TV ever again. Point blank in the period. Brett meets up with her friends, and it's basically more of the same, y'all. I don't even jot down any notes. Back at the getaway, as things are wrapping up, Jose and Rachel share that, they're moving back in together. Everybody acts like they're happy for them. Jose asks what's next for the rest of them. Ryan says, he's ready to date again, and he just started recently. Mirla says, just going to be me and Portia, which is the dog. We're just going to be hanging out until we find, a dog daddy that satisfies the both of us. Zach says he's just trying to be happy. And then he kind of looks at Bao as if, what you going to say? Or are you going to spill it? Because I didn't spill it. So what you going to do? And Bao is like, just more of the same. And I'm like, if y'all don't stop being so childish, acting like y'all don't want to tell these people that y'all are dating, this has been recorded for a television show. They will see that y'all have decided to start dating. And we've also all heard it in the internet streets like this past month or so. So, y'all, that was the end of the episode. Please let me know what y'all thought about this. I am so happy for season 13. I may be happier for season 13 to be over than I was for season 12. To be completely transparent with y'all, I think I was ready for this to be over worse than Chris and Paige. And that says a lot. So this is officially a wrap for season 13. If they put anything else on my TV about these people, I ain't watching it. I'm over Married at First Sight, taking 2 hours of my night every Wednesday night. And then to, of course, come and do these reviews because it's all too much. So I'll see y'all in January for season 14. And I just hope it's better than what we got this season. At this point, I guess we just here for the dramatics of it all, because I'm not all that confident in that we'll see, happy and successful marriages coming out of this thing. But we'll see what happens in January. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.